first World Tour sprint of the year. Did Philipsen close the door on Groenewegen to the barriers? This is UAE Tour Stage 1. You don't need a profile. It's a flat sprint. That's all you need to know. 5Ks to go. Trains at the front. Who don't you see here? No Bora, no Alpecin Phoenix, but we have Quickstep on the top right for Cavendish, Ineos in the middle for Elia Viviani, FDJ for Demar, Jumbo for Olav Koy, Movistar for Cantor, and Israel, I'm not exactly sure. But where is Sam Bennett? Well, he was chilling at the back with 5Ks to go until even 3Ks to go with Archibald Mullen and Danny Van Poppel. They were opting to move up late. Same with Alpecin. It's curious. The two best sprint trains here, Alpecin Phoenix at the bottom here. You see Movistar, UAE, Quickstep at the front, and Jumbo-Visma. The best lead-out trains really have no interest in coming to the front, burning men with 3Ks to go. They all want to move up late, but when you move up late, there's a risk that you get blocked in. And yes, Quickstep have Mercu here, but they don't have Asgren, Van Leeuwenhoek, Ballerini, Lampard, Evenepoel. So it's not the strongest all-around train, and they actually get blown away by Alejandro Osorio, who's a young Colombian on Bahrain Victorious. I thought he was a climber, and he ripped like a 1K turn on the flat and blew away Quickstep. Pretty impressive from him. Then Israel take over. Bike Exchange probably have the strongest all-around lead out here in terms of ability to come to the front with 1,500 meters to go. Mez gets Campbell, Stewart, etc. And you see actually Mez gets Luca Meerkat peeping over, seeing what his train's doing. The problem is they're not all lined up exactly. Groenewegen was back with Mezgets, but then while Groves was pulling, they weren't all in a line, and same with Demar and FDJ. They got in a bit of a jumble. This was chaotic, and this often happens in these sprint run-ins because it's been a pretty easy day up to this point. No hills, and they all arrive fresh, and everyone just absolutely lights it up. So FDJ go on the front. Demar is actually back on Olaf Koy's wheel about 1 kilometer away, whilst they're 2 men. And they're probably going too early anyway. Like, if they dropped him off from that point after their last man, it wouldn't work either. Rob Stannard goes up the left-hand side, powerful, but he's detached from Jasper Philipsen. And on the right, it's actually UAE's lead out for Ackermann, and Rickard sees this from the middle of the pack and spots an opportunity. He's trying to get out. Same with Bora. These Archibald's on the right-hand side. They're trying to get out from that back position. That's the risk I said if you try to move up late. Worked out for Alpecin. They got to come up with Rickard on the back of the Ackermann train, and Rickard drops Philipsen off on Ackermann's wheel. With Mercu still doing a good job, but Cavendish got pinched when Ackermann got brought up, and then Van Poppel moves across. Philipsen launches a bit earlier than Bennett and wins this stage. He couldn't stop winning last year, but Dylan Groenewegen, who knows something about closing people to the barriers, wasn't happy with Jasper Philipsen's move in the moment, and to be honest, he has a right to be dissatisfied with what happens. 700 meters to go. Bike Exchange guys move up in the middle. Groenewegen gets pinched by Viviani, taking Mezget's wheel, and another Israel rider bumps Groenewegen off that wheel. Those guys have a bit of a back and forth in this sprint. That Israel rider, maybe it's Barbier, he then takes Viviani's wheel, and then Groenewegen's trying to take it back from him again. On the right-hand side, you see Philipsen being moved up by Rickard, and this interaction with Groenewegen being sent back to the other side creates the space. Danny Van Poppel, the new lead-up man for Sam Bennett that he was looking for. Incredible lead out by Danny Van Poppel. A little bit lucky, the space might never have come, but he's able to bring Bennett forward the most as Mercu pulls off, and as Ackermann, Philipsen and Cavendish are starting their sprint, and Demar and Groenewegen are boxed in. Philipsen begins his sprint here. There is space. You can see Mercu next to the barrier. There's space for another rider, space plus for 1.5 riders, and that's when Philipsen launches his sprint, and then because it's slow, it doesn't look so bad, but he slowly closes that door on Groenewegen. He almost crashes himself into the barriers and has to correct it. And as I said, because it's slow, these never get done. You never get relegated for this. But this is where he starts, and this is where he finishes. And I tried to tell you in Tour of Oman with the Richese sprint, if this is the standard for deviating from your lane, then we're going to see relegations every single sprint. That is a very, very strict standard to apply, and I don't expect it to be applied as strictly throughout this year. But even I didn't expect it to be literally the next week that the inconsistencies with sprint deviations would start popping up. I think Groenewegen actually probably would have won this stage. He looked very, very fast. I mean, he got detached off Mezget. But even if you think my opinion's wrong, that Jasper Philipsen deviated and endangered Groenewegen and should be relegated, you have to agree that if Richeze got relegated for that last week, then this has to be a relegation. Regardless, Jasper Philipsen can't stop winning. Bennett got, I would say, a better lead out in the last 250 metres than him, but did he spend a lot of energy moving up so late? Like, what did that cost him? I don't know. Maybe they'll have to look into the data. Bora Van Poppel looks very good. Perhaps Mullen, I think they're having a mechanical issue, cost him a little bit. But Viviani takes out third after those two. Then Groenewegen, Leipinch, De Mark, Canter, Kooi, De Vriend, and Ackerman 10th. Tomorrow is a sprint stage. Make sure you check out the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. We recap these. Benji and I argue about the stages straight after the stage. I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.